Namaskar. This is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. A lot has changed worldwide over the past few years in the matter of global tax evasion, where the rich and famous would use the services of consultants to form entities in secretive and opaque tax havens like Switzerland, Bahamas, Channel Islands, Cayman Islands, British Virgin Islands, Liechtenstein, Panama, etc., and park their tax evaded funds, which globally run into trillions of dollars. That's the kind of tax evasion that takes place worldwide. With each nation now concerned about protecting its tax revenues and preventing tax evasion from it, and these nations are now led by the likes of the US and the EU nations, there has been an across-the-board real-time sharing of data by nations, reporting the income, assets and investments of each other's citizens in their respective territories. Thus, the US shares information about any investment or income activity of resident Indians in its territory and vice versa. This is done under a tax information sharing agreement and another one called FATCA between India and the US. Such sharing of information between nations has coincided with whistleblowers and tax havens like we saw in the case of HSBC Bank earlier. Leaking data about secret bank accounts and entities and tax havens meant set up in order to evade taxes and launder funds. Such information given to government authorities and investigators has led to the unearthing of tax evasion in tax havens quite regularly over the past few years. There are also independent platforms like the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists which investigate global tax evasion and money laundering with the help of information received from such whistleblowers, hackers, etc. And we think that this continues, you will hear more and more of such unearthing. Since the tax evaded funds, as well as those arising from money laundering, represent what is called proceeds of crime, the laws like the Black Money Act and the Prevention of Money Laundering Act have been considerably strengthened in recent years in order to seize such funds and proceeds of crimes and penalize the tax evaders and the law violators. Apart from entailing the seizure of assets which represent proceeds of crimes, the stringent Prevention of Money Laundering Act in India also entails penalty and imprisonment to those who have indulged in such illegal activities and have generated proceeds of crimes. Our today's episode is all about tax evasion, contravention of FEMA, and proceeds of crime involving two well-known Bollywood actresses, which is Aishwarya Rai Bachchan and Jacqueline Fernandez, who are under questioning by the Enforcement Directorate for entirely different reasons, for entirely different cases. It was in 2015 that an anonymous whistleblower called John Doe leaked documents about the massive formation of trusts, companies and other entities by a Panamanian law firm called Mossack Fonseca in order to facilitate worldwide tax evasion and worldwide money laundering by its clients, who happen to be rich and famous worldwide. After all, it is only the rich and famous who have income for which they need the services of such consultants to evade taxes when they wish to do that. These documents were passed on by this incognito whistleblower to a German journalist called Bastian Obermeier. These documents consisted of 11.5 million papers pertaining to financial and other corporate information about 214,488 offshore entities set up for prominent individuals by this Panamanian law firm in order to help them to hide their income and to evade taxes. Those who were found to have used the services of this law firm to hide their income and assets in offshore entities and tax havens included 12 world leaders, 128 public officials, and politicians from 200 countries, showing that political corruption is a worldwide phenomenon. The Panama Papers also included the names of 500 Indians, including Sameer Gehlot of India Bulls, KP Singh of DLF, Vinod Adani, the brother of Gautam Adani, Ajay Devgan, who had set up a company abroad undisclosed, Amitabh Bachchan, and Aishwarya Rai too. As per the revelations, Mr. Bachchan was found to be a director in 4 shipping companies set up in the British Virgin Islands and in the Bahamas, with a capital between $5,000 to $50,000 per company, with which With this meager investment on paper, they had traded in ships worth millions of dollars, perhaps in order to build profits on paper. Not much is known about the investigation by agencies like the Enforcement Directorate, Income Tax Department, etc. in these hidden overseas entities of Sri Amitabh Bachchan and the possible tax evasion and money laundering that took place in them. Let us come to the case of Aishwarya Rai. The Enforcement Directorate is presently investigating a company called Amik Partners Limited Dubai, which was promoted by Aishwarya Rai and her family much before she got married. The company was formed in June 2005 with her late father, herself, and her brother as its directors, and it had an initial capital of $50,000. With the entire company formation documents, certificate of incorporation, overseas board meetings, attendance by Aishwarya Rai, minutes books of board and shareholder meetings, financial statements, bank statements, etc., being out in the open, it of course cannot be denied that she was the promoter of an undisclosed overseas entity reportedly formed without disclosure under FEMA and under the income tax laws of India. The company was incidentally dissolved in 2008, a year after she married Akhilesh Bhargava, who was also questioned about it a few weeks ago. She was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate at Delhi for questioning in October and November, but she understandably sought additional time. Reports say that Aishwarya Rai was recently questioned by the Enforcement Directorate about this entity, and her investigation thereon continued for over 6 hours. In case the investment in the said company was not disclosed under the FEMA and income tax laws, which is what it appears to be, otherwise she would not have been called for questioning. In case that is so, then she will be liable to penalty and prosecution under the two laws, and she will also be liable for penalty and prosecution under the Draconian Black Money Act. Aishwarya Rai is said to have told the Enforcement Directorate that her late father looked after her affairs and finances, and that she is not in any position to offer any explanations about the said company, about the investment therein, and about transactions that would have taken place there. Incidentally, ABN Ambro was the manager of the funds in that company. The other actress who has been in the news for questioning by the Enforcement Directorate is the Bollywood Sri Lankan actress Miss Jacqueline Fernandez. She is reported to have received massive gifts from the mega conman Sukesh Chandrashekhar, who is presently lodged in the Rohini jail at Delhi. And he is there in jail on multiple charges of extortion, including the stunning extortion of 200 crore rupees from Aditi Singh, wife of the jailed former owner of Ranbaxy, Shri Shivinder Singh. And he promised to get him out of jail if this kind of amount was paid. Despite being in jail, he managed to use 2 cell phones and masquerade as a top official of the Home Ministry, and he managed to extort 200 crore rupees, promising to release Shivinder Singh from jail under the concurrence of what he said of the Home Minister himself. It was audacious, but he managed to pull it off. It is said that he paid bribes of several crores of rupees to the jail staff at Rohini, who in turn gave him an entire jail barrack, 2 cell phones, and a laptop in order to pull off this shocking crime. And of course, while he did all this, the CCTV was switched off for him. Jacqueline Fernandez has been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate many a time, this time in this case, to understand her role in the crime, apart from being a recipient of proceeds of crime, which is very clear. The conman Sukesh Chandrashekhar is said to have paid a huge sum of money just for being introduced to Jacqueline Fernandez, and he later showered lavish gifts on her worth over 10 crore rupees, apparently and of course funded by the extortion proceeds, and they are thus what are called proceeds of crime, liable to be seized and forfeited. The conman is said to have given her limited edition perfumes, 3 designer bags from Gucci, 2 Gucci outfits for gym wear, a pair of expensive LV shoes, 2 pairs of diamond earrings, 2 Hermes bracelets, a Mini Cooper car, and 2 Persian cats and a horse. The horse is said to have been worth 50 lakh rupees. The interrogation and investigation of Jacqueline Fernandez continues, and she has been prevented from flying out of India under a lookout notice which has been issued against her. While she appears to be guilty of possessing proceeds of crime and tax evasion, the charges against her will be far more serious if she is found to have been participating in, or even if she was aware of the extortion racket which was being conducted by Sukesh Chandrashekhar, that too while he was lodged in jail. The fact is that over the years, India's laws have got tougher and tougher in order to prevent crimes like tax evasion, money laundering, Benami assets, etc. And with the sharing of information between nations and with whistleblowers and hackers more and more active, more such cases involving public figures and celebrities will be found out. The days are actually over when tax evaders could secretly open secret companies and bank accounts overseas and go scot-free. Not only is information often leaked helping to catch them, but laws like the Benami Act, the Black Money Act, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and the Tightened Income Tax Act are ensuring that they get punished even now, even if the hidden transactions had taken place decades ago. And because these are open-ended laws, because there is no time-barring timeline in laws like Benami and Black Money Act, the fact is, whenever in future these kind of instances are found out in other tax havens, all those who had indulged in this kind of secret money laundering, tax evasion are bound to be punished. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.